Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 9 based on novel. So let's start. Yu's exclaimed voice immediately turned to look at the milky white terrifying high temperature flames in front of her, and when she looked at her daughter Yueru, a trace of relief appeared. When I went to the Warcraft Mountains to hunt monsters, I was accidentally injured by the 9 nether fire on the body of a 9 nether sparrow that was comparable to the level of the 6-star Do D inextinguishable. I have used many methods and can't erase the traces of flames, and the flames will devour my vitality. Today, I have no time, even if I read many ancient books to find it. A glimmer of hope. It is rumored that the fire elf or the holy flame is the king of flames in the world, and getting one of them may hopefully cure this 9 serenity fire. The middle-aged man in the room who was originally on the bed stared at Xiao Yi. Road? Little friend is really amazing. You can actually possess such a rare thing as a fire elf. If that's the case, then this old man's life will be handed over to your little friend. Let's say goodbye to life and death, don't worry. A decisive voice came from the house. Xiao Yang slowly approached the side room, and a faint soft light was coming out. Xiao Yang gently pushed open the door of the outer room. The inner room had quite a lot of space. In the center, a large bed was placed in it. A middle-aged man with a dry face was lying on it. Around the bed, several maids were waiting. Busy and busy. Hearing the sound of the door, they cast their gazes and hurriedly walked down. Slowly approaching the big bed, Xiao Yang swept his eyes on the bed, and found that Yu's face was faintly covered with a large grey-black color, and there was a hint of death on the quiet face. It's really serious, Xiao Yang said in a low voice, glancing at the middle-aged man's face where he almost stepped into the grave with half of his feet. Yeah, this kind of fire poison that can devour life force, I am afraid that even a 6-star Do Di powerhouse would not dare to easily mess with it. Father can survive so many years, and he has reached the limit. Behind him, Yueru also looked at the person in front of her with distress. Shaking his head, he said cautiously, Xiao Yang, please do your best to save my father. Yu's eyes were a little red, and her voice seemed to be much hoarse. Don't worry, it's not a big problem, I'm going to start. Be careful not to let anyone disturb me. Xiao Yang also agreed, and then said to Yueru. The state in front of me can only be eliminated by wrapping the strange fire in Yu's body with soul power, so it needs a quiet place that will not be disturbed by others. Is the end of the loss? On the side, Yueru nodded, slightly moved. She knew very well that a large part of the reason Xiao Yang would help her was because of the president of the Alchemist Association. A pair of bright eyes stared at the tall, indifferent young man beside him. I don't have any other way, so I can only follow the method you said, Senior. Use the flame power of the fire spirit to enter the body, and then slowly expel the fire poison. Xiao Yang looked carefully and shook his head. He shook his head, calmly. In that case, the danger should be great, right? Hearing this, Yueru whispered slightly hesitantly. Less than 50% certainty. In the quiet house, Yu seemed to be talking in a low voice, occasionally turning her eyes to the two people beside the bed, and as time passed, watching the sweat dripping down her father's face and the blue veins on her arms throbbing. Yueru's eyes showed some anxiety. It wasn't that she was afraid that Xiao Yang would poison her father, it was just that this method of eliminating toxins made Yueru feel distressed. My father has suffered too much in taking care of this family, and now he is suffering from such deep pain, how could Yueru not feel distressed? Xiao Yang's face was still calm, the fingers on Yu's back trembled slightly, the faint milky white flame was constantly enveloped by the power of the soul, and then cautiously entered the latter's body, gradually using the high temperature to expel those in his body. It has invaded the 9 serenity fire poison, attached to the bones. The milky white flame is wrapped around the black bone. Although the two seem to be close to each other, but if you look carefully, you can find that there is a very small gap between them. The temperature of the different fire is too terrible. If it comes into direct contact with Yu's bones, even if the opponent is a strong Do Di, he will definitely be seriously injured or even die in an instant. The fiery high temperature penetrated from the flame, and then slowly roasted those jet black bones. As the milky white flame continued to smoke, wisps of black mist quietly emanated from the bones, and before escaping, cluster of milky white flames swooped in, wrapped in, and took advantage of the terrifying high temperature to gradually the brand poison mist, which even the strong Do Emperor had to treat with dignity, was smoldered and turned into nothingness. However, when Xiao Yang used the strange fire to burn the black mist, he did not find it. At the moment when the black mist was about to evaporate, some inexplicable black things turned out to be slowly mixed with the milky white flame, and immediately became completely silent. Use powerful force to get rid of them. As time passed quietly, the jet black bones wrapped in Xiao Yan's milky white flames gradually returned to their normal colors at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this time, Yueyu's whole body was soaked with sweat. The middle-aged face seemed to be decades old, twitching constantly, and the sound of sucking cold air leaked out from the gap between the teeth. Refreshing. It's been a long time since I've been this refreshing. The little brother is really good. Yu felt that the 9 serenity fire that had been entrenched in her body for a long time without moving actually retreated slowly in front of the milky white flame controlled by Xiao Yan. That feels as if Yu Huo's fear comes from the heart. This fire elf is really powerful. Yu just wanted to take a closer look at Xiao Yan, but she couldn't imagine that the 9 nether fire in her body was squeezed into one place more and more urgently, and her fist died immediately. Squeezed to death, the blue vein swayed on his arm, like a small snake. Yu's voice was a little hoarse and trembling. Behind him, Xiao Yang's forehead was also covered with sweat. Such a long time of manipulating the strange fire to use it with such a high degree of precision was also a considerable burden on his soul power. He was still with the man in black. During the battle, his soul strength did not return to normal and he was still struggling. Hearing Yu's trembling question, he nodded slightly. He said softly, "Keep your breath, now I have gathered the 9 secluded fires at one point, and you're done." Yu heard that she also gritted her teeth and pushed forward. The teeth made a slight noise, and large drops of sweat fell on her forehead. Obviously how painful it is, the pain that burns to the bone. Yu spat out a few mouthfuls of black blood, and the blood exuded a scorching temperature. As soon as she landed on the ground, Xiao Yi was surrounded by milky white flames. Ha ha ha. It's comfortable. Yu found out from the blood she had just spit out that the 9 serenity fire entrenched in her body was also expelled from the body at this moment. When the last ray of milky white flame was recovered into his body, Xiao Yang breathed a sigh of relief, wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, and said with a smile, "The basic 9 secluded fires have been eliminated, and they will recover after a few days of training." Father. Yueru saw that her father's face had regained some blood, and she did not care about Xiao Yang's existence in this room. She swooped on her father who had just escaped danger, and instantly burst into tears. "Daddy, I said you'll be fine. Do you think it's all right now?" Wu Yue is all a girl and still crying, and she's not afraid of other people's jokes. Yu was obviously very happy because of the dark disease she had just cured for many years. He knows very well that this precious daughter of his own has not been worried about this matter for years. Yu hugged her daughter and let her cry for a while, and then said, "Okay, don't cry. You know that my father, Xiao Yang, the spirit and soul power spent by Xiao Yang to heal me is not weaker than me. You are not ready to bring it. Does he go down to rest? You didn't realize it until Xiao Yang seemed to be still in this room, so she had seen her crying in front of her father just now? You ugly, you ugly." At this moment, Yueru's face was flushed red and she wanted to find a hole to burrow in. "Let's go, I'll take you down to rest." "Daddy, you also have a good rest?" After speaking, he stared at his father fiercely and said, indicating that he is also recovering from a serious illness and needs a good rest, then opened the door and led Xiao Yang out. Yueru herself has reached the age to talk about marriage. Before, because of her father's injury, she had been looking for someone who could save her father. Things are up. The young man in front of him not only rescued his father, but he was also a first-rank pharmacist, and a 3-star fighting emperor. Such a young man not only made the Yueru feel like a deer, but his peers. There are very few people who make the Yueru tempted. "It's here, you can rest here well. I'll call you when it's time for dinner. I'll go first and not disturb your rest." Yu brought Xiao Yang into a spacious room and said. Xiao Yang looked at Yueru Guliang who was slowly withdrawing, and also crawled onto the bed and fell asleep. The load has been too great these few days. The body and even the soul strength need a good rest. The first ray of sunlight in the morning shone into the room. Xiao Yang got up and stretched. He had a good rest last night, and he should be able to retreat today. Immediately, he walked out of the door and towards the hall. "Patriarch, please forgive me, I really didn't do these things, they were all ordered by the third elder. It's really unfair." A short man knelt in front of the hall and begged Yu for mercy. "Third elder, what else do you have to say? I plead guilty." The old man known as the third elder saw that the evidence was solid, but he did not argue because he also knew the thunderous tactics of the patriarch in front of him. In recent years, my illness has recurred, and my strength is not as good as before. How many good things have you done behind my back? I won't know in the future. Now that I've got rid of the dark disease, it's time to tidy up this family. After Yu Yu's body was finished, the powerful aura of the peak of the 5-star Dodi emanated instantly, and everyone in the family hall couldn't help but feel the slightest coercion. Come here, take them down and deal with them according to the clan rules. Yu Yu also instructed. It really deserves it. You can't live because of your own sins. Some people in the parliament hall continued to agree with the patriarch's approach. Keeping family pests like this will only discredit the family. Little friend Xiao Yang is awake? Yu Yu's originally angry face suddenly became loving when she saw Xiao Yang, and smiled at Xiao Yang because he also knew that her daughter seemed to be a little uncomfortable with the man in front of her. With the same emotion, as a father, he naturally wants to help her. The patriarch is really polite. After yesterday's sake, I have some vague signs of a breakthrough, so I came here this time to take advantage of the training room in the clan to retreat. Xiao Yang also clasped his fists towards Yu Yu. Are you going to make a breakthrough? This is a matter, of course there is no problem. Yu Yu was obviously in a good mood because her injury was almost healed, and she was in a good mood after clearing the family, and laughed loudly. Breaking through is something that can't be met. If that's the case, it's not too late. Go now. Xiao Yang said. Yua, why are you still standing there? Take little friend Xiao Yang to retreat. Yu Yu said to her absent-minded daughter, her daughter is really real. Since her injury has healed, Xiao Yang is not only looking at the 6 gods and no masters. Moreover, the eyes are about to fly out. You afraid that others won't see it? Hey, that's all, it's really a big girl. Yu Yu sighed in her heart, but her mouth and heart were all from the heart of joy. Walking on the path of ghosts, Xiao Yang looked at the princess dress in front of him. Fen Diana, who was obviously dressed like she had been carefully dressed, Yu, who had a slightly nervous expression on her face, hurriedly asked, does Yu Guliang have something on her mind? It's not really a concern. I'm also very happy that my father's dark illness is cured, but... Yu answered Xiao Yang's question in a wrong way. Although my father enlightened me for a long time last night, love is to be fought for by myself. How can you know if you don't try something? Father's evaluation of Xiao Yang is also very high. Now he is a 3-star Do Emperor at a young age, and he is also a first-order alchemist of the Emperor's rank. Even if he is a small powerhouse with such potential. But the one with Xiao Yang girl, the more Yueru thought about it, the more fascinated she became. Her cheeks flushed red and she didn't know what she was thinking. Xiao Yang was also staring at Yueru in confusion. It's almost there, just ahead. I went to see the girl with you this morning. Obviously, her soul power is exhausted, and she should rest for a while before she wakes up. I'll take good care of her while you're in seclusion for a long time, so you can rest assured. The two walked quietly to the end of the trail, and Yueru hurriedly changed the subject to Xiao Yang in order to resolve the embarrassment. If that's the case, then thank you Guliang. Xiao Yang looked at the simple stone gate outside the path, and slowly opened it under the guidance of Yueru, and immediately waved at Yueru Guliang and took a big step. Went in. Hey! Xiao Yang. Is that girl your wife? The moment Xiao Yang stepped in, Yu obviously gathered up her courage and said to Xiao Yang. No wonder Yu asked this question. Judging from her appearance, they are all a match made in heaven. Is there no chance for me to finally meet a man who makes my heart happy? Looking at Xiao Yang who slowly entered the stone gate for seclusion, Yu also mustered up the courage to ask. She is my younger sister. A lazy voice came from Shaman. Xiao Yang thought that she was so grateful to him for saving his father. How could she know what Yueru was thinking? Sister? Shimanwei had originally planned to give up, but when Yu heard Xiao Yang's answer, she couldn't help feeling a little moved in the corner of her eyes. Then he said in a voice that only he could hear, I made a decision at the beginning, as long as I can cure my father, I will marry you, even if I am young, I am willing, no matter what happens in the future, I will depend on you. I'm on you, Xiao Yang, you can't run away. Thank you, Xiao Yang. After speaking, he couldn't help but leave the trail a little moved. Go on, no one in the training room is allowed to disturb you, and take care of that girl. Xiao Yang naturally did not know the thoughts of the women outside Shaman. The most urgent task was to absorb the soul source stored in the soul realm, and he immediately walked in through the stone gate. A spacious training room with some stone steps and a training platform appeared in front of Xiao Yang's eyes. Obviously, this training room is cleaned regularly by servants, giving people a neat feeling. After carefully inspecting this stone room, he placed a seal of fighting chi at the stone entrance and walked up to sit cross-legged. This is no wonder Xiao Yan is so careful. Although he rescued the Yu family patriarch, it is better to carefully check the training room in this retreat, otherwise it will be bad if there is an accident in the retreat. Experience gathered abroad. Master, is this all right now? Xiao Yan said slowly while stroking the ring on his finger after checking it carefully. Well, that's right, the heart of being defensive is a must. The Golden Dragon King floated out of the ring and stood in front of Xiao Yan. Okay, since that's the case, let's start. First release the soul source you collected in the soul realm, absorb and refine it, and then learn the fighting skills. The Golden Dragon King helped Xiao Yan to plan, and he also had 2 more scrolls in his hand. Xiao Yan also nodded when he heard that, and sat down with his legs crossed, mobilizing all the soul power in his body. See the pure white light group continuously scattered from Xiao Yan's forehead and gathered in front of Xiao Yan. Although these soul sources were stored in his soul realm by Xiao Yan, it was still a little difficult to release them. The spiritual things of heaven and earth, those who are destined to get it, it seems that you and this soul origin are also compatible. The Golden Dragon King looked at the growing soul light group in front of Xiao Yan, and was also pleased. After the light group was all condensed, Xiao Yan stared at the soul light group standing in front of him, let out a sigh of relief, and immediately stretched out his palm and touched the light group. With this contact, Xiao Yan, I can feel that the vast soul source power that pervades the soul light group, the extremely pure soul source power, makes the soul between his eyebrows feel extremely warm. Refining it with a different fire. The Golden Dragon King's voice echoed into the stone room. Although these soul sources are the purest powers, there are still a few souls with negative emotions, so the Golden Dragon King said. Xiao Yi was summoned, and a stream of milky white flames with terrifying high temperature surrounded the soul light group. Because the lotus cleaning demon fire has the miraculous effect of purifying the dirt in the world. This kind of refining lasted for several hours, which shows the enormous power of this soul. Then Xiao Yang slowly dissipated the flames. Xiao Yi also obviously received a lot of benefits, making Xiao Yi rest aside. Everything was ready, looking at the crystal-like soul light group floating in front of him. Although it was tens of times smaller than before, the purest power contained in it was only strong or weak, and this slowly loosened. With one breath, the skillful handprint moved, and the soul power between Xiao Yang's eyebrows surged out, turning into a humanoid figure with the same appearance as Xiao Yang. At the same time, a suction force poured out towards the soul light group hovering in the air in front of me. With the emergence of this suction, the soul light group also trembled slightly, and then a power of the soul source that was several times purer than before spread out from it, and finally wrapped around Xiao Yang's soul, along his mouth, nose, and pores all over his body are continuously blending into, as more and more soul sources were inhaled, the surface of Xiao Yang's soul, a strange crystal-like layer that had already appeared on the surface, continued to grow bigger and stronger. This kind of change lasted for 20 days in a blink of an eye. Boom boom boom. The last ray of soul light entrenched in the air also got into Xiao Yang's mouth at this moment. In the quiet stone room, looking around, there are 2 Xiao Yang. The aura and appearance emanating from that body could tell who the real Xiao Yang was, because their auras were all 3-star Do D. The appearance is also exactly the same, cannot find the slightest difference. Success. 20 days passed in a blink of an eye, and when Xiao Yang opened his eyes and saw that the person in front of him was exactly the same as him, and even the strength and aura were the same, he couldn't help but exclaimed with joy. Emperor Realm souls are divided into 4 levels: entry-level mortal level, perception fairy level, transcendence holy level, and perfection level. Your previous soul power should have stayed in the soul you just stepped into the Emperor Realm. After the absorption of the soul source this time, you have reached the Emperor Realm mortal level. The Golden Dragon King said slowly with apparent satisfaction. Don't underestimate your mortal soul power in the Emperor Realm. In terms of soul power alone, even a 5-star fighting Emperor is almost the same as you, and I believe you have also felt it. Stepping into the Emperor Realm, the mortal level soul power has undergone earth-shaking changes. The Golden Dragon King looked at Xiao Yang, who was overjoyed in front of him. As you know, when you step into the Emperor Realm, you can use your soul to transform into a soul to help you fight. Before, because you just stepped into the Emperor Realm and haven't stabilized, you are different now. You already have a clone that is not inferior to your own strength. This avatar is condensed by the power of your soul. His strength increases with your improvement, but you remember that this clone is condensed by your soul power after all, and both are prosperous. If the clone suffers an irresistible or incurable injury, it will also be fed back to you. And it's a geometric multiple of feedback. The Golden Dragon King said to Xiao Yan seriously. Before his master said it, Xiao Yan guessed it more or less. Hearing what his master said, Xiao Yan also had a plan in his heart. The attack of soul power and this avatar should be considered a killer. Oh? You take a closer look at the breath you already have. The Golden Dragon King looked at Xiao Yan in surprise. Xiao Yan was also at a loss. Originally, Xiao Yan should be regarded as the initial stage of the 3-star Do Emperor, but unexpectedly, he absorbed some of the purest soul power and inadvertently improved his strength to reach the peak of the initial 3-star Do Emperor. Only one step away from entering the middle stage of the Samsung Do Di. You must know that every promotion of a Do Di powerhouse requires a huge amount of energy. This purest soul source can make Xiao Yan reach the peak of the 3-star Do Di early stage. It's not a bad thing to think about. These days, you have been constantly stepping up the ranks to deal with the enemy, which is not a small burden on you, but there are also many advantages to fighting. Now it is reasonable to absorb this soul power to improve your strength. King Jinlong said. Is it almost 3-star Do Di midterm? Xiao Yan also carefully felt the Do Chi in his lower body. It was indeed the case, and the road still had to be taken step by step. Master, now that I have absorbed my soul power, the fighting skills you mentioned should also be taught to me. Xiao Yan smiled and stared at the 2 scrolls in the Golden Dragon King's hand, because he himself it is also clear that when you come to this Do Di continent where the powers are like clouds, the heavenly ranked Do skills are already overwhelmed, and at least some life-saving skills are required. Although your Fen Ju is now a high-level cultivation technique, the supply and absorption of Do Chi is not weak. As for the 6th layer realm of Fen Ju, you need to swallow holy flames to evolve. What you lack now is Do skill. The Golden Dragon King also saw Xiao Yan's thoughts, and shook the 2 scrolls in his hand. Since you want to learn, then I'll leave it to you. Xiao Yan looked at the Golden Dragon King floating in the sky, and still had a scroll, and hurriedly reached out to catch it. A low-level immortal fighting skill? A low-level immortal fighting skill? Xiao Yan's exclamation echoed in the stone room. Don't look at the difference between the heaven rank and the immortal rank, but the real fighting skills are far from each other. Heaven rank is to mobilize the power of heaven and earth to use for oneself, while immortal rank is beyond the power of heaven and earth. In other words, immortal rank fighting skills will use the power of heaven and earth to stagnate and cannot be used by others. Emperor Do is the greatest symbol of mobilizing the power of heaven and earth. If he can't, it will be like breaking his arm and breaking his hand. Good, this is a set of fighting skills that uses a ruler as an attack, just right to deal with the ancient ruler of eternal fire in your hand. The Golden Dragon King looked at Xiao Yan in front of him and said, Summon your eternal fire eternal ruler first. If you want to practice this fighting skill, you must first temper the ruler. The Golden Dragon King hurriedly said when Xiao Yan was about to open the scroll. Boom! When Xiao Yan just touched the scroll of Dao, when a roaring explosion sounded in the depths of Xiao Yan's mind, his soul also vibrated violently at this moment, and then his vision gradually became blurred, and when he came back to his senses, but found that he was in a strange space. Taking a closer look, this space is not wide, it is empty without the slightest bit of anger. Xiao Yan's eyes swept slightly, and then suddenly stopped somewhere in the void space, where a figure stood with his hands behind his back. The figure is extremely ordinary. Xiao Yan could hardly notice the slightest breath and signs of fighting chi emanating from his body, and his appearance was like the most ordinary person. However, this visual sense made Xiao Yan's heart even more solemn. How could he be an ordinary person who could appear in such a strange place? He is the true master of the 7th layer breaking heaven ruler. This should be a memory space hidden in the fighting skills. This figure is not a real powerhouse, but a memory fragment from his lifetime. Looking at the figure, Xiao Yan was thoughtful. With his current experience, he would not be surprised. After a little pondering, he found out the details of this figure. And just as Xiao Yan expected, this figure did not look at Xiao Yan's side, and shortly after the former entered this space, there was a sound as plain as water which slowly sounded in the space. The 7-layered sky-shattering ruler, the low-level fighting skills of the immortal rank, was created by the combination of the power of my life and the fighting skills of hundreds of schools. Straight coin holy rank fighting skills, the feet are divided into 7 levels, and each level is extremely powerful. The 7 feet are stacked together, and the power is straight to the holy rank fighting skills. Xiao Yan's eyes became brighter and brighter when he heard the plain voice that was like a self-narrative language. The superposition of the seven-folded ruler can actually be compared to a higher-level fighting skill. Xiao Yan was deeply shocked. The person who created this fighting skill is indeed a real powerhouse. The original sky-level fighting skills have been refined and super sacred. If you can obtain the secrets hidden in this seat, you can be regarded as a person who is destined. Since you can get the fire ruler, then the fire ruler should have been tempered by the fire spirit saliva. Remember, the seventh-layered sky-breaking ruler must use the tempered ancient ruler of different fire. Only then can it be successfully cast, otherwise, it will be backlashed. Hearing this, Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment and then he became thoughtful. It turned out that the strange thing that was surrounding the ancient ruler of eternal fire in his hand just now was the so-called ancient ruler of eternal fire that was tempered and changed by the so-called Hualing Xiao. As expected of an immortal-level fighting skill, such a process is still needed to obtain a complete inheritance of fighting skills. Above the lake, the Golden Dragon King calmly and slowly raised the ancient ruler of eternal fire in his hand. On the ruler surface, those special patterns that once made Xiao Yan feel strange, at this moment, radiated a fiery red light. Holding tightly the black ruler that became as red as the setting sun, the mysterious man let out a low drink, and his body suddenly moved. The sole of the foot slowly stepped in the void, and an afterimage appeared shockingly under the illumination of the setting sunday. Looking at the afterimage in the void in shock, Xiao Yan was speechless for a while. He did not expect that the mysterious man's speed would be so terrifying. The afterimage gradually dissipated, but the figure of the mysterious man appeared like a teleportation under the huge waterfall that was more than 10 feet wide. Compared with the huge hanging waterfall, the mysterious man's small body, just like the ants on the picture scroll, it is extremely unobtrusive, but this small ant-like figure, at this moment, has a power that is even more terrifying than this waterfall. The huge wind pressure caused by the falling waterfall was unable to make the seemingly weak old body move at all. The body that was rushing forward suddenly stopped, the toes kicked in the void, and the body rotated 180 degrees in mid-air. The black ruler in the mysterious man's hand became more and more radiant, and at the end, the strong ray of light made Xiao Yan had to narrow his eyes. Immortal rank fighting skill, 7th layer breaking the sky ruler. A thunderous thunder suddenly exploded, followed by a turbulent heat wave that almost spread into the entire space. Boom! On the surface of the wide space, suddenly, countless water columns rose into the sky, which was extremely spectacular. Between the water columns in the sky, huge red orn suddenly flashed. Wherever the red orn passed, the water column disappeared, replaced by a pervasive mist of water. Bang! The red orn was like a shock, swept across the lake like lightning, swayed a wave of water 10 meters high, and then slammed heavily on the rushing waterfall. Boom, boom, boom. The huge explosion of thunder continued to reverberate in the valley, and countless rubble fell from the rock wall one after another. Covering his ears with his hands, Xiao Yan stared at the momentum of the attack with his mouth wide open. After a while, he swallowed hard and turned his eyes to the waterfall suddenly. Cover up! A gust of wind blew out from the lake, the water vapor in the valley quickly dissipated, and the huge waterfall behind the mist finally slowly revealed its true face. Looking at the appearing waterfall with wide eyes, Xiao Yan was sluggish for a moment, then slowly closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Dizziness surged in his head. The waterfall at this time, the huge water flow, has been cut off, and on the huge rock behind the waterfall, a ravine more than 10 feet long and 3 or 4 feet wide flashed dazzlingly. At the edge of the gully, countless tiny cracks spread across the entire stone wall, looking like a creeping tiger. The waterfall water flow above the cliff continued to flow down slowly after stagnant for more than 20 seconds, and the huge scar on the rock was gradually hidden. Looking at the black circle of light rapidly spreading out from his pupils, Xiao Yan also took a deep breath, but there was no sign of panic, and he was facing the figure in the dark circle from a distance. Bowed and bowed. This is the simple rule of thumb. For those who are destined, remember the name of this seat, 7-footed immortal. The faint voice, like the thunder of a stinger, suddenly resounded in Xiao Yan's mind, and that figure. In that dark circle of light, it became more and more faint, and finally it completely turned into annihilation. The last image of a generation of powerhouses left in this world is just like this dissipated away. Xiao Yan nodded silently, allowing the jet black light to impact, tearing his body apart. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.